Toy Freddy. This guy is essentially what you'd get if you took the original Freddy and gave him a complete makeover. He's got that clean plastic appearance with rosy cheeks, a top hat, and a bow tie that screams, "We spent way too much money on market research to make me appealing to children." But don't let that polished exterior fool you. Underneath that family-friendly veneer is the same murderous intent, just with better PR. Toy Freddy is programmed with facial recognition and software that's supposed to identify criminals in the database. Except it's been tampered with and now sees every adult as a potential threat. Basically, it's like having a paranoid security guard, but worse because he's 8 feet tall and made of metal. From a gameplay perspective, Toy Freddy is one of the more predictable threats in FNAF 2, which honestly makes him the politest of all the animatronics trying to kill you. He starts on the show stage with his buddies, then moves through the main hall, into the game area, back through the main hall, and finally into your office. It's like he's following a very specific, very deadly tour route. What makes Toy Freddy particularly manageable is his movement speed. He's about as fast as a Windows 95 computer trying to load the internet. He's methodical and slow, giving you plenty of time to track his progress through the cameras. The real challenge comes from managing him alongside all the other threats. While you're busy winding the music box or dealing with Foxy having another one of his episodes, Toy Freddy can slip into your office like that one friend who shows up uninvited. When he does reach your office, the strategy is simple. Put on the Freddy mask immediately. Like most of the toy animatronics, he's fooled by the mask and will eventually leave, probably muttering something about kids these days as he goes. Toy Bonnie. Toy Bonnie is where Scott really started experimenting with making animatronics that look friendly but feel absolutely wrong. This blue rabbit has these massive soulless eyes that look like they're staring directly into your browser history, and a permanently smiling expression that would make the Joker uncomfortable, unlike his withered counterpart who's missing his face entirely. We'll get to that nightmare fuel later. Toy Bonnie is complete and functional, but somehow that makes him more unsettling. There's something about the combination of his pristine condition and those dead staring eyes that hits right in the uncanny valley and sets up permanent residence there. Here's where I need to correct something important. Toy Bonnie primarily approaches through the right air vent, not the main hall, like I've seen some people claim. Trust me, you'll learn this the hard way when you're not watching the right vent, and suddenly there's a blue rabbit in your office asking if you've accepted him as your Lord and Savior. Gameplay-wise, Toy Bonnie is one of the more active threats you'll face. He moves quickly and can catch you off guard if you're not constantly checking that right vent. Unlike some animatronics that give you the courtesy of audio cues, Toy Bonnie prefers the element of surprise, like a very deadly jack-in-the-box. The mass strategy works on him, but you need to be fast. Toy Bonnie doesn't believe in giving you time to think about your life choices. Hesitation will result in a jump scare that's genuinely startling. His jump scare is also one of the more aggressive ones in the game, with those dead eyes suddenly filling your entire screen like a Windows blue screen of death. But scarier. From a lore perspective, Toy Bonnie represents the attempt to create safer animatronics that backfired. He's equipped with advanced technology and facial recognition, but something has gone horribly wrong with his programming, turning him into a technological nightmare with excellent customer service training. Toy Chica? Toy Chica is probably the most disturbing example of false advertising in the entire Five Nights at Freddy's universe. During the day, she looks like the perfect children's entertainer. Bright yellow, cheerful expression, complete with her "let's party" bib that's basically saying, "Come on kids, what could go wrong?" But when night falls and she becomes active, Toy Chica undergoes a transformation. She removes her beacon eyes, revealing a set of sharp endoskeleton teeth and hollow eye sockets that transform her from cute mascot to your worst nightmare had a baby with a blender. It's like watching someone take off their customer service face, but literally. This transformation isn't just for shock value, it's storytelling through design. Toy Chica represents the core theme of Five Nights at Freddy's. Things that appear innocent and child-friendly are actually dangerous and deceptive. The fact that she actively removes parts of her friendly appearance suggests a level of consciousness that's frankly more disturbing than if she were just malfunctioning. From a gameplay standpoint, Toy Chica follows a fairly predictable path from the show stage through various areas of the restaurant before reaching your office via the main hall. She's not the fastest animatronic. She moves with the determination of someone who knows exactly where you live and has all night to get get there. The counter strategy is the same as other toy animatronics. Put on the Freddy mask when she enters your office. However, her appearance without the beacon eyes makes her one of the more startling encounters, especially for new players who haven't been properly warned about what happens when the makeup comes off. What's particularly clever about Toy Chica's design is how it plays with expectations. New players might underestimate her based on her daytime appearance, only to need therapy after encountering her nighttime form. Mangle. Oh boy, where do I even start with this walking, or should I say crawling, tragedy? Mangle is what happens when you combine corporate cost-cutting with child psychology and get the most depressing backstory in Five Nights at Freddy's history. Originally designed as Funtime Foxy, a more kid-friendly version of Foxy that was supposed to be less scary and more appropriate for small children, Mangle was supposed to represent progress. They thought, hey, let's make Foxy but safer. Well, mission accomplished if by safer they meant more psychologically disturbing. Here's where the story gets darker than a Hot Topic store. The children at the pizzeria were too rough with Mangle. Day after day, kids would pull them apart, tear off pieces, and generally treat them like the world's most expensive stress toy. The staff would try to repair Mangle each morning, but eventually gave up and just left them as a take apart and put back together attraction. Because nothing says fun for the whole family like letting children practice dismemberment on a robot. This backstory is horrifying when you really think about it. Mangle represents a character that was literally torn apart by the very children they were meant to entertain, then abandoned by the adults who were supposed to protect them. It's like if Toy Story was written by Edgar Allan Poe. Visually, Mangle looks like what would happen if you put Foxy in a blender and then tried to put him back together while blindfolded. They're a mess of white and pink parts, hanging wires, and multiple heads. Yes, heads plural, because apparently one head wasn't enough suffering for this poor character. Gameplay-wise, Mangle is absolutely terrifying because they are the only animatronic that attacks from the ceiling. While everyone else has the courtesy to approach from predictable directions, Mangle said, "I'm going to hang out up here like the world's scariest chandelier." When they appear in your office hanging from above, you can't use the Freddy mask. Instead, you have to avoid looking directly at them and wait for them to leave. Like they're a very deadly Medusa. The jump scare is appropriately chaotic. Instead of a single scary image, you get this mass of twisted metal, wires, and static that looks like someone tried to broadcast a robot having an existential crisis. It's disorienting and genuinely unsettling, perfectly reflecting Mangle's broken mental state. Also, Mangle produces constant static noise that interferes with audio cues from other animatronics, because apparently being a ceiling spider wasn't enough. They also had to be an audio jammer, Ballon Boy, or BB as his friends call him, assuming he has any friends after what he does to people. Might look like the least threatening animatronic in the game, but he's arguably the most hated character in Five Nights at Freddy's history, and that's impressive considering the competition. BB is like that one coworker who doesn't actually do any work themselves, but somehow makes everyone else's job impossible. His primary function is to sneak into your office and disable your flashlight and door lights, leaving you completely defenseless against other animatronics. He doesn't kill you himself, he just makes sure everyone else can. This makes BB what I like to call a support villain. He's not the main threat, but he enables all the other threats to be worse. It's like he studied psychological warfare and decided the best way to defeat someone is to take away their tools and watch them panic. Diabolical? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. Infuriating? You have no idea. BB approaches through the left air vent, and you need to watch for him on the cameras and put on the Freddy mask when he appears in the vent's blind spot. Miss him, and he'll set up shop in your office like he's paying rent, giggling maniacally while systematically destroying your ability to defend yourself. What makes BB particularly maddening is his personality. He has this high-pitched, cheerful voice that says things like, "Hi," and "Hello," in a tone that suggests he's genuinely excited to ruin your entire night. It's like being murdered by the world's most enthusiastic child. And somehow, that makes it worse. The psychological impact of BB goes beyond just disabling your equipment. There's something uniquely frustrating about being helpless, while a small, balloon-carrying robot laughs at your misery. Pro tip: if BB gets into your office, just restart the night. Trust me, trying to survive without lights while he giggles in the corner is an exercise in futility that'll make you question your life choices. The puppet, also known as the marionette for those who like their horror with a touch of class, is arguably the most important and terrifying character in all of Five Nights at Freddy's. This tall, thin nightmare with a white mask and black tears represents something that most FNAF players learn to fear above all else: inevitability. From a lore standpoint, the puppet is possessed by Charlotte Emily, the first victim of William Afton, and probably the most important character you've never played as. Unlike the other children who were murdered inside the pizzeria, Charlotte was killed outside while locked out in the rain. The puppet was supposed to protect the children, but failed to save her, which transformed it into something unique among the animatronics. Rather than being just another angry spirit seeking revenge, the puppet became a protector of the other murdered children. It's the puppet who gave life to the other spirits, helping them possess the animatronics and seek justice. So basically, the puppet is the reason all the other animatronics are haunted. Thanks for that. Gameplay-wise, the puppet is controlled by the music box mechanic that will absolutely dominate your life in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. You need to regularly wind the music box by holding down the mouse button while viewing the prize corner camera. If the music box runs down completely, the puppet will emerge and kill you. And there's absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, you can do to stop it. This creates constant background pressure throughout every night, no matter what else is happening. Whether you're dealing with animatronics in your office, checking vents, or having a panic attack, you always need to be aware of that music box. It's like having a very deadly Tamagotchi that you can never let die. What makes the puppet particularly terrifying is the complete lack of counterplay once it starts moving. Other animatronics can be deterred, avoided, or fooled, but once that music box runs out and you hear that haunting music start playing, you might as well start writing your will. The puppet doesn't negotiate, doesn't accept bribes, and doesn't care about your feelings. The jump scare sequence is pure nightmare fuel. Instead of a sudden shock, you get this slow, inevitable approach as the puppet emerges from its box and glides toward you, while playing the most ominous lullaby ever composed. It's less of a jump scare and more of a death sentence with background music. Withered Freddy. Now we enter the Withered section, where we meet the original gang in their seen better days era. Withered Freddy is what happens when you take the original Freddy and put him through several years of traumatic events, questionable maintenance, and what appears to be a complete lack of healthcare coverage. Visually, Withered Freddy shows his age and trauma. His brown fur looks like it hasn't seen a washing machine since the Carter administration. Parts of his endoskeleton are playing peekaboo through holes in his casing, and his overall appearance suggests he's been through some stuff and could really use a vacation. From a lore perspective, Withered Freddy carries the memories of the original murders and years of supernatural torment. These aren't just old animatronics gathering dust in storage. They're trauma survivors with anger management issues and the ability to end your existence. Gameplay-wise, Withered Freddy is more patient than his toy counterpart, which somehow makes him more ominous. He moves slowly through the restaurant, taking his time like he's on a leisurely stroll through a horror movie. He typically goes from part service through the main hall and into your office, giving you plenty of opportunities to track him if you're paying attention. The key difference with Withered Freddy is that the Freddy mask doesn't always work on him. Sometimes he'll be fooled, sometimes he won't, and there's no way to know which until it's too late. It's like playing Russian roulette, but with more jump scares and fewer bullets. The best strategy is to monitor him closely through the cameras and try to slow him down by keeping an eye on him. Withered animatronics seem to be more aggressive when they're not being watched, which suggests they have some serious performance anxiety issues. Withered Bonnie, who looks like he had a very personal disagreement with a wood chipper and lost. This is what happens when you take everything scary about the original Bonnie and remove any pretense of being family-friendly. Withered Bonnie has suffered what can only be described as catastrophic cosmetic failure. His entire face is missing, leaving only a bare endoskeleton skull, with tiny red eyes that glow like angry pinpricks in the darkness. His left arm is also completely gone, leaving exposed wiring that looks like mechanical spaghetti. He's basically a robot zombie, and somehow that's not even the scariest part. Even Scott Cawthon himself admitted that Bonnie was the character that gave him nightmares while developing the original FNAF. And Withered Bonnie takes that energy and multiplies it by about 1,000. Looking at him is like staring into the mechanical abyss, and the abyss stares back with tiny red eyes. Gameplay-wise, Withered Bonnie is an absolute menace who approaches primarily through the left air vent. Unlike the toy animatronics, he's not fooled by the Freddy mask, probably because he's seen some stuff and isn't falling for your disguise nonsense. The strategy for dealing with Withered Bonnie is to shine your flashlight down the left air vent when you suspect he's there. If you see that skeletal nightmare face staring back at you, immediately stop looking and wait for him to leave. It's like playing peekaboo with death itself. What makes Withered Bonnie especially challenging is how his appearance can trigger panic responses even when you're expecting him. That skull face emerging from the darkness is startling every single time, and it's easy to make mistakes when your brain is busy processing the fact that a robot skeleton is trying to say hello. His jump scare is appropriately aggressive, featuring that missing face and glowing eyes filling your screen like the world's worst screensaver. It's the kind of image that'll make you afraid of looking down dark hallways for weeks. Withered Chica. She represents what happens when you take a character that was already kind of unsettling and put her through the horror equivalent of a really bad divorce. She's damaged, angry, and has some serious issues with personal boundaries. Her most distinctive feature is her jaw, which hangs open like she's perpetually surprised by the state of her own existence. Combined with her missing hands, replaced by sharp endoskeleton appendages, she looks more like a mechanical predator than a children's entertainer. It's like someone crossed a robot with a particularly angry crocodile. Withered Chica primarily approaches through the right air vent, making her the counterpart to Withered Bonnie's left side approach. This creates a lovely situation where you need to monitor both vents for skeletal nightmares, because apparently one wasn't enough stress for your cardiovascular system. Like other Withered animatronics, the Freddy mask won't save you from Withered Chica. Instead, you need to use your flashlight to check the right air vent and back away when you see her approaching. The timing is crucial. Too early and you waste precious seconds. Too late, and she'll be in your office asking if you'd like to discuss your extended warranty. What makes Withered Chica particularly dangerous is her persistence. Once she decides she wants to visit your office, she doesn't give up easily. She has the determination of a door-to-door salesperson and the appearance of your worst nightmare, which is a truly terrifying combination. Her jump scare emphasizes her damaged state, with that hanging jaw and sharp appendages filling the screen. Withered Foxy. Withered Foxy is the special case among the FNAF 2 cast because he requires a completely different strategy than literally every other character in the game. While everyone else follows relatively standard horror game rules, Foxy decided to be a rebel and create his own personal minigame within the larger nightmare. Visually, Withered Foxy has seen better days, but still maintains more of his original pirate personality than the other Withered animatronics. His red fur looks like it's been through a washing machine filled with disappointment, and he's missing significant pieces, but he still has that theatrical flair that says, I may be falling apart, but I'm still fabulous. The key mechanic with Withered Foxy is that he becomes more aggressive if you don't look at him regularly through the cameras. This creates a constant background task that's like having a very needy pet, except this pet is a 7-foot-tall robot pirate with anger issues. When Withered Foxy does decide to pay you a visit, he appears in the hallway to your right, and the only way to deal with him is to shine your flashlight directly at him repeatedly until he retreats. This can take several flashes and requires persistence, even when other animatronics are demanding your attention, like very deadly customers at a restaurant. What makes this mechanic particularly stressful is how it conflicts with literally everything else you need to do. While you're playing flashlight tag with Foxy, you can't wind the music box, check for other animatronics, or put on the Freddy mask. It's like trying to juggle while riding a unicycle during an earthquake. The balance required for Withered Foxy is more delicate than a house of cards in a hurricane. Check on him too often, and you waste time that could be spent on other threats. Don't check on him enough, and he becomes an immediate problem that requires extensive flashlight therapy to resolve. Withered Golden Freddy. Withered Golden Freddy is the ultimate excuse me what character in FNAF 2. He doesn't follow normal rules, doesn't respect personal boundaries, and has the audacity to crash your entire game when he kills you. He's basically the final boss of being inconsiderate. Visually, he appears as a golden damage version of Freddy, who looks like he's given up on life entirely. He's missing an ear, has wires hanging out like electronic dreadlocks, and his eyes are completely black, with tiny white pupils that suggest he's seen things that would break a normal robot's sanity. What makes Golden Freddy unique is how he appears. He doesn't walk through the restaurant like a civilized animatronic. Instead, he just materializes in your office, sitting slumped in the corner like he's been there the whole time and you just noticed him. It's like having a very deadly surprise roommate. When Golden Freddy appears, you have maybe 2 seconds to put on the Freddy mask before he triggers his jump scare, which doesn't just kill you. It crashes the entire game to desktop. This is the only character in FNAF history who can literally break the fourth wall and affect your actual computer. It's like he's saying, you thought this was just a game, think again. The unpredictability of Golden Freddy's appearances creates constant background tension. He can show up at any time during any night without warning, turning routine moments into potential heart attacks. You might be calmly winding the music box when suddenly there's a golden bear in your office having an existential crisis. From a lore perspective, Golden Freddy is associated with some of the deepest mysteries in FNAF, representing spirits that are particularly powerful and angry. His ability to ignore normal rules suggests he exists on a different level than other animatronics. More supernatural force of nature than mechanical threat. Shadow Freddy. Shadow Freddy is what happens when FNAF decides to get existential on you. This purple-tinted silhouette of Freddy exists somewhere between reality and nightmare, showing up occasionally just to make you question what's real and what isn't. He appears as a dark purple shadow version of Freddy that looks more like someone's bad Photoshop attempt than an actual animatronic. The purple coloration connects him to other mysterious elements in FNAF lore, particularly the whole purple guy situation, because apparently purple is the official color of things that will ruin your day. In FNAF 2, Shadow Freddy shows up rarely in the parts/service room, just standing there like he's waiting for a bus that will never come. He doesn't move, doesn't attack, and doesn't seem to have any clear purpose other than to exist in the most ominous way possible. What makes Shadow Freddy particularly unsettling is his complete passivity. In a game where everything else is actively trying to murder you, encountering something that just watches is somehow more disturbing than being attacked. It's like finding out someone's been standing in your backyard all night, not doing anything, just observing. The fact that he appears in parts service, where broken animatronics go to contemplate their existence, adds another layer of creepiness. Shadow Bonnie, also known as RWQFSFASXC. And yes, that's actually his name, because apparently someone fell asleep on their keyboard and decided it was perfect, is even more mysterious than Shadow Freddy. Also known as Shadow Bonnie for people who value their sanity, this character represents the FNAF series at its most cryptic and nonsensical. The name looks like what happens when you let a cat walk across your keyboard, and honestly, that might be exactly how Scott came up with it. Some fans have tried to decode it as an acronym or cipher, but it's probably just intentionally random to emphasize the character's glitched, corrupted nature. Visually, Shadow Bonnie appears as a completely black silhouette of Bonnie, lacking any detail or color. He's like a Bonnie-shaped hole in reality, which is somehow more unsettling than any detailed design could be. The complete absence of features makes him look like void given form, which is exactly as comforting as it sounds. Shadow Bonnie's appearances are extremely rare and seem completely random. When he does show up, it's usually in parts service or occasionally in your office, and looking at him for too long can cause the game to crash or restart. He's like a computer virus that gained consciousness and decided to cosplay as an animatronic. This meta-horror element makes Shadow Bonnie particularly effective. He doesn't just threaten your character, he threatens your actual gameplay experience. It's fourth-wall-breaking horror that makes the scares feel more real and immediate. The rarity of Shadow Bonnie encounters means many players never see him, making actual sightings feel like witnessing a cryptid. JJ, also known as Balloon Girl, is the ultimate blink and you'll miss her character in FNAF 2. She's like Balloon Boy's mysterious sister, who decided that the best way to be scary is to barely exist at all. She appears as a female counterpart to Balloon Boy, with green eyes instead of blue and what looks like a different outfit. The green eyes are particularly notable because in FNAF, eye color changes usually mean something significant, though with JJ, that significance remains about as clear as mud. What makes JJ fascinating is how rarely she appears and how subtle her presence is. She can occasionally be seen under your desk when you put up the monitor, but only briefly and infrequently. It's like playing Where's Waldo, except Waldo is a potentially supernatural entity hiding under your workspace. This rarity led to massive debates in the FNAF community about whether JJ was real, a hallucination, or just an elaborate Easter egg. Her subtle appearances and lack of obvious gameplay impact made her feel more like a creepypasta than an actual game character. From a gameplay perspective, JJ doesn't seem to do anything. Unlike Balloon Boy, who actively ruins your night by disabling your equipment, JJ appears to be purely observational. She's like a very shy ghost who just wants to watch you work, but doesn't want to be noticed. This passive behavior makes JJ arguably more unsettling than characters who pose obvious threats. The idea that something is hiding under your desk, watching you without your knowledge, taps into fears about hidden watchers and unseen dangers. It suggests you're never truly alone, even when you think you are. The fact that she appears under the desk is symbolically perfect. While other animatronics approach from predictable directions, JJ exists in the hidden spaces beneath your awareness. And there you have it. Every animatronic from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 each one designed to make your life miserable in their own special way. Comment down below what you would like to see next, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and watch one of the videos on the screen.